As free agency sweeps through the NBA, many fans across the league have been quick to point fingers at the Golden State Warriors for what seems like a quiet, uneventful offseason. No blockbuster trades, no superstar signings, no breaking Woj bomb shaking up the Bay. Just silence. But for those who truly understand how this franchise operates, those of us who have followed every move since Steph, Clay, and Dre changed the league's DNA, we know that silence doesn't mean inactivity. In fact, it might mean quite the opposite. Behind the scenes, there's movement, there's evaluation, and most importantly, there's vision. According to respected NBA insider Jake Fisher, the Warriors made a serious call to the Boston Celtics with one target in mind: Derrick White. That's right, the same Derrick White who just helped lead Boston to an NBA championship, the two-way guard who locked down opposing scorers and drilled big-time shots in the playoffs. Golden State wasn't just curious, they were interested, very interested. But talks didn't get far. Why? Because Boston made it clear they weren't parting ways with White unless they were blown away by a mega offer. According to Fisher, the kind of offer they were looking for resembled the one Orlando gave up to get Desmond Bane, Cole Anthony, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and 4 unprotected first-round picks, or the massive haul the Knicks sent to Brooklyn for Mikal Bridges, 5 first-rounders, and Bojan Bogdanovic. That's not just a price tag, that's a franchise-altering investment. And honestly, who can blame the Warriors for holding back? Golden State isn't in a rebuild. They're not desperate. They're not tanking for a lottery pick or trying to catch lightning in a bottle. This is a team still built to compete now. Every decision is being measured, every move calculated. And if giving up that kind of draft capital for Derrick White wasn't the right fit, then kudos to Mike Dunleavy Jr. and Joe Lacob for having the guts to walk away. But make no mistake, this wasn't just a random inquiry. The front office's pursuit of Derrick White signals something big. It signals that they know the current core needs help. It signals that they're looking for elite defenders with playoff experience. And it signals that despite the media silence, they're ready to act when the moment is right. Let's not forget, Derrick White isn't some flash-in-the-pan guard. He's a proven winner, a player with the defensive IQ and versatility that perfectly fits into Steve Kerr's switching system. Imagine him alongside Steph Curry and Draymond Green, 3 high IQ players flying around, rotating, communicating, and locking down the perimeter. That's not just a luxury, that's championship DNA. And yet, the Warriors didn't overpay. Some fans might see that as a missed opportunity, but here's the truth. Championship teams are built on smart decisions, not desperate ones. We've seen what happens when teams go all in too early and too recklessly. The Brooklyn Nets did it with Harden. The Clippers went for broke with Paul George. Those teams are still picking up the pieces. Golden State is playing the long game. They're protecting assets, keeping flexibility, and setting the table for the right move, not just a move. And that's what separates elite front offices from the rest. So, while other fan bases celebrate flashy signings and premature trades, we, as Dub Nation, should take pride in our team's discipline. This isn't a front office asleep at the wheel. It's one that understands timing is everything. Now, we want to hear from you. Do you think the Warriors should have gone all in on Derrick White? Should they have made a Desmond Bane-level offer? Or do you believe the front office was right to hold the line? Drop your take in the comments. Should we push harder for a player like White or keep stacking options for the trade deadline? This is only Chapter 1. In Chapter 2, we'll dive into the latest roster predictions from Mark Stein and what a potential double signing of Al Horford and De'Anthony Melton could mean for the Warriors' immediate future. Stay locked in, Dub Nation, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you bleed blue and gold.
While the Derrick White deal may not have materialized, the Golden State Warriors are far from done making moves this offseason. NBA insider Mark Stein recently dropped a bombshell prediction. He expects the Warriors to end up with both Al Horford and De'Anthony Melton on the roster before the offseason wraps. Now, let's be real here. These aren't just depth pieces. These are playoff-tested veterans who fit perfectly into what Golden State is trying to build for another championship push. Let's start with Al Horford. At 39 years old, he may not be in his prime, but make no mistake, he still brings a ton to the table. The man is a former champion, a proven leader, and one of the smartest bigs in the NBA. He can stretch the floor, pass out of the high post, and anchor a defense with his positioning and communication. And in the Warriors' motion offense, where intelligence and spacing are essential, Horford would be a dream fit. We're talking about a guy who could slide in next to Draymond or even take some of the pressure off Looney's departure. More importantly, Horford will give the Warriors what they've missed since losing David West and, more recently, Otto Porter Jr., a veteran big with range and poise. He doesn't need the ball to be effective, he doesn't make mistakes, and he can mentor younger players like Trace Jackson-Davis while still contributing on the court. And let's not overlook this. If you're trying to win in the West, especially against teams like Denver and OKC, having a big man who can hit threes and defend smartly is no longer optional, it's essential. Now on to De'Anthony Melton. This is where things get interesting. Melton isn't just some bench guard, he's a high-level defender with legitimate two-way upside. The guy averaged over 10 points per game last season, can shoot from deep, and guard both point guards and shooting guards. And yes, he already has experience with the Warriors, even if it was short-lived due to an unfortunate ACL sprain. Before that injury, he showed flashes of being a perfect rotation piece in Steve Kerr's system. Quick decisions, active hands, unselfish play. Adding Melton would bring back the perimeter defense the Warriors lost when Gary Payton II went down. And with Chris Paul gone and Klay Thompson now in Dallas, the backcourt rotation desperately needs reinforcement. Melton could easily play alongside Steph or come off the bench and guard the opponent's top scorer. His versatility on both ends is exactly what this team needs as they aim to maximize Steph's remaining prime years. Mark Stein's prediction isn't just hopeful speculation, it's based on actual movement. The Warriors have been carefully clearing cap space, holding out on Jonathan Kuminga's situation, and staying patient. And this patience could pay off big if they land both Horford and Melton without giving up premium picks or core players. That's how smart front offices work. They don't rush into moves, they wait for value. And when the timing's right, they strike. But now we turn it over to you, Dub Nation. Would you be happy with the additions of Al Horford and De'Anthony Melton? Are they enough to move the needle? Or should the front office swing even bigger? Drop your thoughts below and let us know. Are these the right pieces to put around Steph, Draymond, and Wiggins? Or are the Warriors playing it too safe this summer? One thing we know, these names may not be flashy, but championships are won with depth, IQ, and defense. And Horford and Melton check every one of those boxes.
As the dust continues to settle around the Warriors' calculated and measured offseason, one thing is clear. This franchise is playing a long game, but one that still has urgency. Why? Because Steph Curry isn't getting any younger. And while Golden State hasn't made a headline-grabbing blockbuster move this summer, the underlying strategy is deliberate. They're not just chasing a splash, they're rebuilding a foundation, quietly, intelligently, and with purpose. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Jonathan Kuminga. The situation is complicated. He's one of the few young assets on the roster with genuine upside and trade value. The Warriors have already extended a qualifying offer, but the fact that they're holding cap space open for a potential sign-and-trade deal tells you all you need to know. They're not married to the idea of keeping Kuminga if it doesn't fit their timeline or their system. And that's what this entire offseason has been about, fit. After last year's failed Chris Paul experiment, the front office has returned to a strategy that has always worked for this franchise. Smart, versatile players who know how to play team basketball. Guys like Horford and Melton aren't going to win you headlines in July, but they will win you playoff minutes in May and June. That's the difference between organizations that chase attention and organizations that build legacy. There's also a psychological shift happening in the front office. Bob Myers is gone. Mike Dunleavy Jr. is now in control. And with that change comes a new tone. Less flash, more flexibility. Dunleavy and his team are quietly navigating trade talks, building cap space flexibility, and keeping the core intact while staying ready to make the right move when it presents itself. And speaking of the core, let's talk Steph Curry. This is still his team. His window remains open, but we all know it won't be for much longer. Every move the Warriors make right now has to be made with one question in mind.
Does this help Steph win one more title? That's it. That's the whole mission. From targeting intelligent vets like Horford, to adding defensive depth with Melton, to exploring Kuminga's market, every decision reflects that singular goal. Because here's the truth. When you have a generational player like Stephen Curry, you don't waste time hoping the young guys figure it out. You find the right mix of experience, leadership, and grit to compete right now. And that's what this front office is doing, quietly positioning itself for one final title push while keeping options open for a post-Steph rebuild. Warriors fans, this offseason might feel uneventful on the surface, but it's far more calculated than it seems. Derrick White didn't happen? That's okay. Maybe it wasn't meant to. What's important is that the Warriors are finally aligning their decisions with the realities of their roster and the timeline of their stars. And now, we want to hear from you. Do you think the Warriors are doing enough this offseason to give Steph one more serious shot at a title? Would you trade Kuminga in a sign-and-trade deal if it meant bringing in a piece like Derrick White or another impact player? And how do you feel about the current direction under Dunleavy Jr.? Is it the right one? Let us know in the comments. This channel is for the real fans, the ones who lived through the 15-win seasons, who stood by when KD left, who believed in Steph when he was doubted. Your opinion matters here. So sound off, Dub Nation. The dynasty isn't dead. It's just evolving.